Hello, PaleoFX Tribe. Keith Norris here, back again with another Facebook Live interview. And this one is super exciting because I know both of these young ladies. I have Allison Wojtowecz and Destiny Lalane in the, what would you call this? The virtual meeting room or something like that? I don't know what this is called. It's a virtual meeting room. We'll roll with that, huh?
Yeah.
So I happen to know both of these young ladies. I happen to know that they are both astute fitness professionals, and they're also pretty funny too. So if some jokes get thrown around here, that's likely to happen. I knew that was going to happen. I checked the door to make sure the dogs were not going to bump up against it, and they're out there right now bumping up against it.
At least you had your mic on.
Never failed. It came out of the woodwork. I don't know what the deal is. They were not even out there 2 seconds ago. They weren't even out there. So Allison and Destiny, first of all, Destiny Lalane, what a fortunate name for someone in the fitness industry.
Yes, I can't tell you how many times I've been asked if I am the heiress of a huge international juicing company.
Like I get asked all the time about Chuck Norris. I'm like, yeah, that's an original one. Thank you.
Yeah. Yeah.
But so both of you guys are in the fitness industry, and you've come to this idea that there are some people in the fitness industry right now who are hurting, obviously, because they can't have in-person classes. I happen to know many of those people personally. And so you guys conjured up an idea to teach people, since you know the ropes of how to do this, of putting together a boot camp to teach other fitness professionals what you guys do. So riff on that for just a minute, and I'm going to open the door so these dogs can get in.
Don't tear the door.
Yeah, it's super interesting because I find that Alice and I, who oddly enough met through the PaleoFX community, we complement each other quite nicely, because I myself am super into the health and wellness industry. I've been working as a marketer in this industry for the last few years. So I come to the table and I'm like, hey, Allison, I'm super passionate about this stuff. This message needs to be spread. I want to help other people reach more people. Let's do this. I can't necessarily jump on a live and tell someone, about supplements and how to move their body to feel a certain way, but I know how to reach those people. And I started to realize that, if I could just help, someone in the health and wellness space understand that it doesn't have to be that hard to bring some of the physical things that you were doing online, and it doesn't have to be that expensive. I realized that, especially in a time like this would be a really good time to start teaching people that and show them that they don't have to drop $10,000. They don't have to be super scared. I know things are crazy right now, and we're definitely thinking about money. So that's what I, originally had, thought when I reached out to Allison, who will introduce kind of what she was thinking.
Yeah, so like Destiny mentioned, we actually met through PaleoFX 2 years ago. I sent her like a memory on Instagram the other day. It was a picture of me and Ashley from the Muscle Maven, and it was like I got a notification yesterday, and I was like, Destiny, we met in person 2 years ago today, because we met via email. We met on the internet, and I used to work with PaleoFX, so I was doing marketing stuff with you guys. And my background is I actually have the kinesiology degree and the personal training cert and the nutrition cert. And I kind of started in that arena, and I still do it. I still have my own like online communities for those things. I still have private clients for that. But when I started working with PaleoFX, I had no idea about any of this marketing stuff. And so I learned a ton with you guys, and Destiny being one of my quick best friends, really kind of, we just had great banter the whole time. So when all this stuff started coming up, we were talking one day, and she basically said, Allison, you've been working with doctors and fitness pros and like people on all ends of the spectrum of the wellness community. And we know specifically, like she knows the broad strokes of how this stuff can apply to all of the industries. And I specifically have been working only with health and wellness professionals since I started doing digital marketing things, because that's what I care about. I realized I don't want to market things that I don't care about. So yeah, so I came at it more from like understanding the science and then learning the marketing, which makes it really easy for the two of us to banter because she started with the marketing and learned the science. So it's a fun balance, and we know how to kind of check each other, and we have different specialties within the marketing realm too. So it's just a really awesome rounded team. But yeah, when all this stuff started hitting, we just were like, this makes it immediate now, right? Like our services are needed now. So that's kind of what started the idea.
And I think it's very important to point out that, marketing gets a bad rap, right? Because people have an ick factor around it, and it just rubs people wrong who don't understand marketing. It's kind of like money, right? Marketing is neither good nor bad. It's neutral. It's what people do with it that makes it icky or not icky, and providing a service.
Yeah, that's something we've discussed, and I even mentioned to Destiny a few times, and I think you and I had that conversation too, Keith. Like when you were trying to tell me, come learn this stuff at PaleoFX, I was like, no, I don't want to do it. I'm not here to sell to people. Right. I'm here to help people. And like that mindset shift was so huge for me. And I've obviously, for the past few years done a lot of work on that and taken various courses and worked with you guys and Destiny. But I very much understand how health and wellness professionals do not do it for the money. They're there to help people, and they think that it's icky when they get, presentational about it, when they're trying to sell things or market things. But in reality, the only way anything ever gets done is if you get in front of those people and share that message and then eventually sell things, because that's how business works.
Right.
Yeah, and I agree. Sometimes it's like, sometimes someone in the health and wellness space gets a little nervous about marketing because marketing is sales and sales is gross, because I am just here to help people. But then on the other side of things, sometimes we're just unaware of what we don't know, right? So I was walking around this neighborhood yesterday, and, I was talking with one of my cousins, and, he told me, hey, like there's this yoga studio here. And they just opened up their practice. Like they just opened up their yoga studio, right? Right when this hit, and they had to close. And I was so impressed by, what he shared with me. He was like, they very quickly started thinking, and they were like, okay, what can we do? Well, we cannot host classes here. Of course, there's the virtual element, of hosting virtual workouts. But they took it actually a step further for their business, because they have a lot of expenses right now. They just signed like a huge lease out here, and they actually went out of their way to take their equipment. And I was so excited to tell you this, Allison. I can't believe I waited 24 hours to tell you. But they took their bikes and they actually leased them to their clients. And they hand delivered them. They cleaned them. They hand delivered them. And those people are still paying their monthly subscription plus that rental fee. And they're able to then tune in. And it's not just an at-home workout with ad hoc, things. And I just thought, wow, like, I think that sometimes people don't even realize the things that they can be doing to pivot in situations like this. And in the future, kind of have these different sources of income. And almost like these different ways to disaster proof your business. Because, I had to go to the dentist recently, and, my dentist, he does have his own supplement line, and that really excites him because he's super excited about spreading his message. But in order for him to open his practice, there were so many different protocols he had to do. And I'm pretty sure it's very expensive to open your office, even if a few people are coming in right now, because you have to pay for your staff, cleaning. It's a lot.
Yeah, and that is one of the big roadblocks to a brick and mortar, is paying the lease. And I know that very, very well, having run gyms myself before this PaleoFX thing was birthed and came about. And that's tough, and it's also scalable. I mean, there's only 24 hours in a day for a person to train, and even if you hire trainers, each one of those trainers is scaled out. Right? So it's very, very tough to get ahead unless you can mobilize this tool of online coaching. And then most people don't know how to utilize that tool, or they're befuddled by it, or they're just IT dumb, like yours truly. So in the course, how much IT background do you have to be able to take this course and be successful on the other side?
Little to none. The things that we create, I like to create simple systems that you can either replicate, or down the line, if you want to outsource it, by all means. And we'll even be talking about, hey, if you want to outsource it, this is the recommended route. Don't fall for these traps. Allison knows I talk about this one all the time, but it breaks my heart. I feel like so many people, and they are bringing their wellness practice online, their business practice, business online, the first thing they do is they spend all this money on a website that isn't designed for any particular reason. And I think that when you're thinking about bringing this business online and you're thinking about generating revenue online, it's really important to kind of test, what are you selling and who are you selling to? Are you selling to the same people that are already coming to you? Are you attracting a different audience? Some people think, oh, well, I'm a personal trainer. There's so many other personal trainers out there. Who's going to buy my online product? Well, people care about you, and people move, and people actually get very upset that they can't come to your yoga practice, and this is a beautiful way to continue reaching those people. And yeah, I figured as long as I make this as simple as possible, I'm doing my part in helping other wellness professionals spread that message of health. And, it just becomes this full circle where they learn, they literally earn, sorry to be corny people. And that money literally is what allows them to flourish and continue to reach a greater audience. And I think that's great. I want more people to be thinking about their health.
Right.
Yeah. Sorry. Oh, I was just going to say the point that I wanted to reiterate too in all of this is, like, in no way are we implying that online businesses negate brick and mortar ones. We just, like, if anything, using them to enhance your brick and mortar is just that much more effective. Like Keith, you mentioned as a gym owner, and I know this as a trainer, like, you only have so many hours in a day. You're paid hourly. Even the gym owner is kind of paid hourly based on how many trainers they have. Trainers want to work 20 to 40 hours a week because training is tough stuff. You're on your feet, being the energy for the session. You can't scale once those hours are filled. And this applies to a lot of different things. It applies, some of the doctors that I do copywriting for, they offer telemedicine. And that's a whole new ballgame because, they have people from all around the country reaching out to them for their very specific niche that they're in. And now they're able to help those people. And they still very much have a busy clinic. So it's not like move your business online and leave all of the in-person stuff behind. It's like, no, you know how to do the in-person. Now let's learn the online so that you benefit your clients more, and then you get to scale your company more.
Right.
Yeah. And the other thing is, we're never going to say, hey, like, this is going to come in, this is going to take over, you're saying goodbye to your practice. If anything, when your practice is able to open, you have more people who, are really excited to come here. And on the other side of things, this is a great time for anyone who runs, a in-person, retail, any kind of on-site practice, to think about how can you streamline things to become more efficient so that you can become more cost effective. A lot of practices can optimize their practice by simply switching out the EHR, the electronic health record that they're using. And I don't even think, this goes back to, some of us are becoming masters of the body, and then some of us are becoming masters of marketing. Right. And, it's just a great way for people to come together and say, hey, let's not be afraid of each other. Like, you have a lot of really interesting information. Like, let's get this out there. And something that also really excites me about this course is I really, really want to help more people in the wellness space get press. I think that, I know even we all personally, the three of us watching this, we personally know so many people who just know so much incredible knowledge that I just want to give them the biggest microphone and say, here, scream this into the microphone. The world's waiting. And don't be afraid of, this side of, business and this next change in, your business.
Right. It's funny. I see that Michelle made a comment up there about if you make more money, you can build a bigger bullhorn. And we were called out a few years ago by Darren Hardy. If anyone knows who Darren Hardy is, he's the owner of Success Magazine. He kind of moves in those circles, and he essentially called bullshit on Michelle and I, saying that we were in this to for people, and we were a heart and soul centered business. And he's like, you realize who you're up against. You're up against the freaking government pumping out all this misinformation, and you're not willing to do what it takes to change things. And he was essentially, I'm calling bullshit on that, which was a wake-up call to us. We were like, oh, what? You're right. I mean, we're not willing to do what it takes to make a change. And we, from that day forward, we totally revamped the way PaleoFX did business, because we do intend to make a change. And part of getting that word out is marketing. It's marketing. Yeah.
And it's been very incredible to see, like, both as when I was on the team and afterwards, just how much good PaleoFX as a platform has been able to do. And I think Destiny and I both, like, we both discussed this before this live about how, like, I consider PaleoFX largely an online company because it exists online most of the time. But the culmination of it is the event. It's the in-person thing. You guys are literally the prime example of how digital marketing brings people from all around the world together. And it's a beautiful thing that you guys have done. And you know that so many people talk about how PaleoFX has changed things.
I never get tired of hearing it though. So go on, please.
Yeah. And like, to me, I tell people all the time, whenever I meet a company and, you know, they're looking for other conferences to attend, I'm like, wow, I'm almost shocked and appalled that PaleoFX is not on here. And what I really love about it is it brings so many different people together, and it really helps people learn and connect, because you're literally connecting with some of the most brightest, most passionate people when it comes to both health and wellness marketing and the message that we're helping push. And I think it's great when you get a bunch of people together and you're like, hey, I have access to this audience that needs your help. Like, let's work together and help these people. And, you know, the other thing that I also thought about is, you know, the thing that we want to help other health and wellness companies understand is that, like, right now, when it comes to advertising and compliance, we understand how difficult it can be on, say, Facebook, right? Just because so many other people are on Facebook, which is why Allison knows I don't stop talking about Pinterest advertising. Not that that means that you're jumping on Pinterest and you're scamming people. It's more of, you don't have to worry as much about these nitty-gritty things that you're constantly, I feel, worried about on Facebook when you're advertising. And, you know, it's so interesting on Pinterest, people love food. And I find that's like the quickest way to, you know, get in contact with, you know, our audiences. It's like, hey, like, here's this beautiful, healthy, you know, recipe that Allison made. Boom, leads into sales funnel,
right?
You know? So I think it's a beautiful thing, because the creative mind comes together and we're like, hey, how can we simplify this message so that people don't have to be so afraid of becoming a little more about, honestly, sometimes changing everything that they were doing leading up to the event. So
circling this back around to the fitness professional and using this crisis as a lever for action, right? And I always look for the silver lining. I always look for whatever the crisis is, what can it teach me? And as Allison knows very well, I am not a very agreeable person. In fact, what did I score? A 0 on the agreeableness?
It's 1%. I was 8%. Keith and I are the same person. We took multiple personality tests, and we are the same person, but I'm 7% more agreeable than Keith. So,
which is scary. Which is pretty scary. But it probably says a lot. But here's the thing. So I look at this, and I'll use PaleoFX as an example, where we were so focused on the live event, so focused on bringing people together, and we weren't so focused on being a platform, an online platform. And we kind of knew that was off in the distance, and we wanted to move that way. But who could have predicted this COVID-19 thing, which totally put us in a tailspin? I mean, we were like, the thing that we worked 18 months to produce is now rescheduled. Now what do we do? And we're still in a tailspin, but we're using this as an opportunity to force us to move in the direction that we were already going to move anyway. what we already wanted to do anyway. It just lit a serious fire under the ass to get us to move that direction. And I think fitness professionals are in the same boat, right? They have a brick and mortar. They may, in the back of their mind, think, yeah, I need to move and add an online element to this thing. And it keeps getting pushed off. Priorities keep getting pushed off. I know that all too well. And if I still had gyms, I would probably be in the same boat. Oh, crap, I wish I would have done this 6 months ago, a year ago.
Right.
I knew this needed to be done. I didn't do it. Crap. And it just, so what this does, these crises do, is they, if you use them correctly, they point out all the flaws in your systems. And so use it as an opportunity to correct those flaws.
Totally. And it's an opportunity. It's not a crisis. Like
Right.
I kind of like to differentiate those
Right.
two, because personally, like I mentioned, I am a trainer. I was coaching classes at the university in Austin. I was coaching classes at UT. And this is the prime example where I like was taking these classes. I wanted to coach them because I like the in-person element. It was low demand, you know, a couple classes a week. But then suddenly I'm furloughed through the end of the summer for that. And it was like a real discussion that I had in my head of, okay, am I going to go back to those after this? Like, what did I learn from this? No, that tells me I learned nothing.
Right.
This is my chance. You know, I wasn't the owner of the gym. I was just one of the trainers who taught the classes. But this was my chance to bring this to the audience that I knew I already had just in my friends and family, which is a thing a lot of people forget. Like, everyone has an audience. You know, even if it's just your friends and family on Facebook, everyone has an audience. You can start somewhere, and you will always be shocked at who reaches out to you when you start sharing your message. But my decision was to just start doing donation-based classes, and they're totally virtual. And that's just one way that it made me look at my business and say, wow, I actually didn't have control of this, you know? So taking this as, like you said, an opportunity and not thinking of it as a loss and a crisis, and I'm just going to sit here and wait for things to go back to normal, because who knows what normal is anymore.
Nobody knows. The only thing we do know is it's not going to be what it was before. You can pretty much guarantee that. So tell us, kind of walk us through the 5-day course. What is it look like?
So we have our 5-day course leading up to the actual event that we're offering. So our 5-day course is just a free course that helps you each day identify your audience and then learn how to communicate with them and get them into your audience. Basically, it's an audience building course. Do you want to go into more detail on that, Destiny?
Yeah. So basically what we want to help you do in 5 days is we want to help you identify what maybe your lead, your either opt-in or your autoresponder can be, so that you can start generating leads right now. And we also talk about why that's important, how to do some customer avatar research, because we just want to prevent people, you know, sometimes what can happen is if you are just starting to learn this on your own, a wellness practitioner may put something super advanced and super complex language on a lead page that I may not understand, but whatever you are offering is actually something that I need. And we want to prevent you from getting started, not seeing success, and thinking that this is not for you. So in 5 days, you should be able to set up an autoresponder and at least start gaining some leads. And we'll talk about where to get that. And if you're concerned about traffic and press and things like that, that is what we'll actually go into more depth in our class. But something that I was thinking about earlier when we were talking about things that we learned and thinking about this as an opportunity is something that I really hope other people in this space understand, is that people come to you for more than just your knowledge. They really come to you for your outlook, and also the community that you have created. Because when you go to the gym, I've gone to CrossFit gyms, I've gone to all the different gyms, and I can honestly say, like, it gets me so excited to go there and see the other people. And I've attended Allison's donation, the donation-based classes, and which are doing incredible. I'm super impressed. And it's cool to see names that I recognize and faces that I recognize working out. And it's a beautiful, it's something that it really just makes me smile. So I just wanted to share that.
Yeah,
Cool.
so the 5-day course is like the intro to building your audience and how to speak to them and how to get them into your funnel, essentially.
Mhm.
And then our actual course, which is happening on May 9th, is going to be a lot more nitty-gritty on how to speak to those people, how to sell to them, which is helping them. And then Destiny goes into, like she said, the different things about getting into press, getting your name out there. Those are her specialties. And we even touch on my specialty, which is more the content side and reaching your audience. And we both discuss some ad stuff as well.
And to be clear,
Yeah, and
I was going to say, this is for everything from yoga instructor to TRX, and it runs the gamut.
And
Right?
yeah, any wellness professional. So it's not even just trainers. Like I mentioned, I work with doctors. So if you're a doctor with a practice, or even a nurse practitioner, or someone who's considering having some sort of online presence, even if you're not the business owner, this can apply to you. And we definitely tailor these to who we know is attending. So if it ends up being all chiropractors, then we'll talk about that industry or whatever.
And also, if you are like a wellness coach or a nutritionist or a dentist, so it's definitely a wide range, and we want to help inspire these people to, whether it's a course, a product, we want to help encourage and show people like the simplest way to get started. Because what happens is sometimes people think course, they think college, they think they need to spend 6 months working on the curriculum. That ends up being way too advanced to even be in just one course. And yeah, we're really excited about this. So, we hope that people are excited to join us, and, hopefully we'll then all get to meet at PaleoFX later this year. I guess, when did you have to make that decision, by the way, to change dates?
That's what
was that?
Yeah.
Right. It's going to be a few weeks before we get an official word from the city. So even though the state of Texas in general and Austin more specifically is slowly opening back up, we don't know how that's going to affect large events yet.
Yeah.
So
how did you guys find like that having your online presence allowed you to make that shift? Because if you didn't have, that sort of contact with your people, like there would have been people in Austin for PaleoFX last weekend.
Right. I don't even want to think about what it would have been like had we not had an online presence. I mean, it would have been disastrous from all sides, which is just to, highlight the need for having an online presence like this. And again, I go back to thinking how very, very difficult it was for me to run gyms, even though I loved it. I loved every bit of it. And I miss it. I miss being in that atmosphere right now and actually owning my own gyms. But Michelle and I always laugh that we picked, if we were going to pick entrepreneurial routes, we picked like the 3 toughest things to go into. That's catering to restaurants, running a gym, or running an event. I mean, I really did. We hit the trifecta. It's like we went from hard to harder.
This just popped into my head too. So like I've noticed this as an issue in a lot of different industries, but definitely the health industry. People oftentimes think that they're doing online marketing because they have some sort of email list with their past customers, or maybe they do have something set up on their website that says join our newsletter or whatever. And then when they have a sale, they're like, oh, we should email our people. Here's a sale. And then they do nothing with it other than that.
Right.
And it just popped into my head that like, if you guys hadn't been doing what you were already doing to stay consistent and provide value to your audience in all the ways that you do, you guys making the huge announcement that PaleoFX had to change dates would not have reached people as well, because it would have felt like, quiet, huge announcement, quiet. Right. And like people probably would have ignored it. And I remember seeing a TEDx talk about this one time where she compared it to dating. She basically gave 2 different scenarios where she said, okay, let's say you go on the best date of your life. This is amazing. Like, as a female, it's like, oh, he opens the door for you. He pays for everything. He tells you you're beautiful. He's like so nice and whatever. And then you don't hear from him for 3 weeks. Right. And then suddenly he wants to take you on another best date of your life. It's like, okay, fine, I guess. Or you go on another date and it's great and you have fun and it's cool. And then he follows up with you the next day and asks how you're doing. And then he wants to keep contact with you. And then maybe the next weekend he asks you on another date. Which of those people are you probably going to keep seeing?
Right.
It's the one who's, you know, taking care of you consistently and not just showing up when they feel like it. So that's just something I wanted to throw out there, because a lot of people think, oh, I'm doing email marketing or e-marketing or whatever, and that's not really effective.
And again, and I get it, because I was there 5 years ago. I had the serious ick factor around marketing. I was that guy that was like totally came at this from a political science side of things, where marketing to me meant propaganda. Right. And I just saw the negative side of it, because that's the political science side of you're constantly spinning a story. You're either spinning it to get you to come on board, or to push you away, or to get a human to do something of your bidding. Right. And it took me that transition period, kicked off by crap, I forgot his name now. I'll think of it in a second. Anyway, kicked off by that statement, like, you are doing the public a disservice by not marketing this, and that's on you. Can you? Very cool. Are you willing to shoulder that responsibility, that you're not going to get this word out and you're not going to change lives?
And that was the big thing that like hit me too. A good friend of mine and business partner, Baldo Garza, mentioned basically the same thing to me. He was like, how is selling sleazy if you know that your product is good?
Right.
The only way it's sleazy is if you know your product's bad, and then you shouldn't be selling it.
Right. And that's a mindset shift. Darren Hardy just came back into my head.
There you go.
It's a mindset shift. If you have great information, it's on you for not putting it out. And to your point, Allison, if you are not serving the people that expect you to provide a service, then you're just gonna piss them off. I mean, really, they're gonna leave, because they feel like they're underserved.
Because then it is like cold selling to them. Sorry, go ahead, Destiny.
No, it's okay. When I just wanted to also share something that came to mind about, you guys were sharing about pivoting, and once coronavirus hit and what you guys were doing. I come from the opposite end, where everything that I do always starts online. So this year, something that I had challenged myself to do was to get a little uncomfortable and start hosting more in-person events. So I did actually spend a lot of time this year putting together an event and putting together a marketing strategy. And it was so crazy. Well, first of all, let's talk about risk. So going into it, I just knew I had to spend a little bit of money to rent a venue. Right. And then I would have to spend some money to advertise it. So I went in, and the way I kind of thought about it was, okay, I have to pay for this stuff. What internet, like, how can I make this event profitable, so that going into it, I'm already like, my minimum expenses are covered. So that's how I like to think. How can I use the internet to cover these minimum expenses that the in-person stuff will do? It kind of like, I feel like it like makes kind of like covers my back in a sense.
Right.
So literally days before the event, I kind of knew that this was going to affect it. So I had been following it. Days before the event, I had to just say, hey, surprise, we're going back to everything we always did. We're hosting the event online. Now, that's not going to be what the answer is for everyone's event. Don't get me wrong. Right. But I found it to be kind of funny that I had put all this time and energy into doing this in-person thing, just to have to revert back to what I was actually comfortable in. And I actually wanted to do the in-person stuff. So I did find that funny, but something that I walked away with, and I, hope other people kind of think of this way. And it can be challenging, especially depending on where you are. But my cousin has this idea of opening a retail spot out here. He wants to open a yoga studio. And I told him, I was like, I would be interested under one condition and one condition only. You are willing to dedicate the time and energy that it's going to take to generate whatever that our monthly minimum expenses, like our lease, all of this stuff. We need someone to work there. We're not always going to be here. Whatever that minimum is, if you're not willing to work hard to make that cost up online, like through online elements of this business, I am terrified. And I will, you can count me out. I pretended we were on Shark Tank, and and for this reason only, I'm out. But I hope that, this can kind of challenge the way we think, because I know that's a controversial thing to say about opening a retail spot. But I hope that instead of, getting concerned and getting fearful, we think in the future, what are the other opportunities I can do to make this, it's not just about you. It also is about who you're serving. Because this goes back to I miss going to the gym and I miss seeing those people, even people I didn't even talk to,
Right.
And if this is a way, whether I move or a disaster strikes, again, I can still be able to access you, your knowledge, your community. Think of it in that way. Because it's not just about when another disaster like this strikes, other life changes happen too.
Yeah, and that's the one thing that I keep coming back to is like, if you are coming from the opposite end of destiny where you're used to the in-person stuff and you're trying to understand online, the way I always look at like a new thing when I want to try it is, okay, I know what my life is like without this thing, and I know I can always go back to it afterwards. So what is the risk of me trying it other than me just going back to where I'm at now?
Right.
So if you try the online thing and you don't like it, or if something happens to where we lose the internet, like, you now know how to do the in-person thing. That's what you've been doing this whole time. So what is the risk of going online and trying that? Because like we said, the cost is very little, and we're going to show you how to basically bootstrap things.
And also, I hope this inspires people to think a little bit more about, it's not in person and then online. They are extensions of each other. So they are not, opposites.
I really wish I would have had this information 12 years ago. So you guys were probably in, I don't know, junior high or something 12 years ago. But but I wish I would have had this information 12 years ago. It would have made everything so much easier. So 5-day email course leading up into the boot camp. The sign up, I believe, is in the description above this. If not, I'm quite sure that Melissa will drop it into the comments, but I'm pretty sure it's in the description. I just can't see the description from this dashboard. And I encourage everyone to do that. Jump on this. This is a great opportunity, and you're going to learn from two of the best in the business. They've done this before. They're adept at it.
Thank
All
you.
right.
And
Allison, Destiny, thanks for coming on. Thanks for chatting, and go out and change the world. I know you will.
Thank you so much. And we will see you soon.
Yeah, absolutely. All right, gang. I don't know if I will be back on today, but I think Michelle has a couple lives coming up. So tune back in. Can't wait to see everybody in July. Keep your fingers crossed. Keeping fingers crossed.
You'll be there.
If we all think we can manifest this shit, just saying.
Just kill it with your thoughts.
Absolutely. All right, guys. Bye-bye.